This is John Paul Rice. Some people call me. Today, I'm going to get into a tweet by Data Racer. He's a Twitter user, got a great account, going to link it below. And he kind of digs up one of the reasons why Galaxy's Edge is made around the sequel trilogy, not the original trilogy. And an engineer at Galaxy's Edge says this thing, but, you know, he's not actually an authority or a top official or anything, but you could bet that his attitude's probably pretty spread around Disney, Lucasfilms, things like that, and maybe he even heard something from someone higher up and he repeated this. So I think the logic is absolutely horrible. Let's get into it. Here we go. Here we see Data Race's account here, and one of the main things the engineer says is, we wanted a theme park that's not a memory of someone else's Star Wars. We've already seen those stories and we're not part of those stories. And Data Racer calls the guy, what a bunch of arrogant fools. Well, he calls them arrogant fools, but, you know, also talking about this guy specifically. And the statement is absolutely ridiculous. It's kind of like saying, well, Moby Dick's 100 years ahead of my time, so I can't relate to Revenge. You know, Oliver Twist is like, oh my god, it's so old, so I can't relate to what it's like to be alone and want to find a family. That story's old. I don't need to hear Oliver Twist anymore. Let's make our own Oliver Twist and, you know, we'll make him invincible and he finds his family and he's awesome. That's our new story. Alright, referencing to Rey, but you get the point. So he's saying here that, well, those aren't our stories. Horrible. Horrible. Let's see what else he says. The Walt Disney Engineering Studio leader Scott Trowbridge told it, setting Disneyland Park's new Star Wars Galaxy's Edge on Batuu, a planet that most fans haven't heard of, was an essential part of the crappy design that's really doing terribly right now. Sorry, I added that in. One of the things that we decided very early on was to build a new place, a place that was not a memory of someone else's Star Wars story, Trowbridge said at a media panel discussion on Wednesday at Disneyland Park. So if it was at a media panel discussion, he had probably discussed what to say earlier, and he probably has a lot of people on board with this idea. Batuu was not a place that we visited in the early films. We know those places. We know the stories that happened there. We know the characters' experience there. And we know that we're not a part of those stories. What the hell makes you not a part of those stories? You watch the movies, they go into your imagination, you get emotion from them, and bam, you are part of those stories, and you want to see more, because those are great stories. Like I said before, it's the same exact thing as saying, well, you know, I'm not part of Lord of the Rings, say. That's not my story, because that was written, I don't know, maybe started in the 30s. Oh, that's not my story. I can't relate to a bunch of friends going on an adventure together, and one of the friends saves the other one from being evil at the end, and oh my god, Lord of the Rings, not my story. We need a new theme park, not in Middle-earth. You know, what I'm saying is that that statement just like covers all of entertainment and story and creative writing and things like that. It's not just about Star Wars and like, oh, I don't want to be part of this Star Wars anymore. What makes the sequels better than the original trilogy? There's almost nothing that makes them better. I don't know, there's really not a single thing that makes them better unless you just, okay, you want to argue like raw technical technology of special effects and sound, maybe sound, but the soundtrack wasn't as good. So, you know, just cut off half the fan base, throw them away, and let's try to get new ones. That's the whole problem that's going on here is they've taken Star Wars and they've made it just a regular, any old attraction. It's not special anymore. I banged the table. Hope you guys didn't hear that. So if you guys get my drift, this is just further proof that Disney really just does not care. And one of my main problems that I keep telling defenders of the Disney Star Wars, The Last Jedi, is that they're not trying to make good stories. They're trying to get rid of the old ones with whatever they think of, basically. Red Stormtroopers, whoops. Sith Troopers, yeah, put it in. We thought of that. They're red now. They're not white, or I'm sorry, you know what I mean. There are white ones and red ones, and then there'll be yellow and green ones, and woo, let's get the whole rainbow in there, and then let's really push for, I'm not gonna say because I'm gonna get myself in trouble. Anyway, you guys let me know what you think of that down below. I got a Twitter account. I'm doing shout outs, special thanks. things like that. Click that subscribe button if you haven't. I can't ask nicely, then I seem weak and like I'm begging or something, so people told me just tell people to subscribe. Alright, please subscribe. See you next time.